Park sat alone in the dark room, her face lit by the soft glow of many screens. The Luna Deep Space Array was quiet at this hour. Most workers had gone home. Only the night shift remained, watching the endless signals that came from the stars. She had been doing this job for 3 years now. Every night she listened to the sounds of the universe. Most of it was noise, random static from distant stars, echoes of old explosions that happened millions of years ago, nothing important. But tonight felt different. Leaned forward in her chair. One of her screens showed a strange pattern. At first, she thought it was just interference from a nearby satellite. She almost ignored it, but something made her stop. The pattern repeated. She adjusted her equipment and focused on the signal. It was weak, coming from very far away, but it was real, and it was not random. Her heart began to beat faster. "Computer, clean up this signal," she said quietly. "Remove background noise." The machine worked for several seconds. Then the pattern became clearer. Eyes went wide. It was not just a pattern, it was a message. She reached for her communicator and called her supervisor. "One, you need to come here, now." One was a tired man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had worked at the array for 25 years. He had seen many false alarms. Young workers often got excited about signals that turned out to be nothing. He walked into the room slowly, holding a cup of tea. "What is it? Another pulsar?" "No," she said. Her voice was shaking slightly. "Look at this." One set down his tea and looked at her screen. He frowned. Then his frown deepened. "That is structured," he said slowly. "That is not natural." "I know." He sat down next to her and began to work. For the next hour, they ran every test they could. They checked for errors. They looked for any explanation that was not what they feared. No, not feared, hoped. Finally, one leaned back in his chair. His hands were trembling. "This is a message," he said. "This is a message from an intelligent species." Nodded. She had known it from the moment she first saw the pattern, but hearing one say it made it real. "Can we translate it?" she asked. "The computer is working on it. The structure is simple. Whoever sent this wanted to be understood." They waited. The minutes felt like hours. Then the screen filled with text. Read the words aloud, her voice barely above a whisper. "This is the final transmission of the people. Our world is dying. A sickness has taken our plants, our crops are dead, our forests are gone, our people are starving. We have sent messages to 12 civilizations. None have answered. You are the 13th. We do not know if you exist. We do not know if you can hear us, but we are desperate. Please, if anyone is listening, please help us. We have 37 days before our food is completely gone. After that, our children will begin to die. Please, we are begging someone, anyone help us." The room was silent. Felt tears forming in her eyes. She did not wipe them away. One stared at the screen. His face was pale. 37 days, he said quietly. "That is not much time." "We have to do something," said. "We have to follow protocol," one replied. "We report this to our superiors. They report to their superiors. Eventually, it reaches the council." Eventually, one, you saw the message. They have 37 days. Eventually might be too late. One rubbed his face with his hands. He looked very old in that moment. "I know, but I am just an analyst. You are just a communications officer. We cannot make decisions for all of humanity." "Then let us talk to someone who can." One looked at her. He knew what she was suggesting. Going directly to the United Earth Council without permission was against every rule. It could end both of their careers. But somewhere out there, children were starving. "If we are wrong," one said slowly, "we will lose everything. Our jobs, our reputations, everything." Looked at the message on her screen. She thought about the person who had sent it. She imagined an alien, tired and afraid, sitting at their own equipment, sending words into the darkness. Hoping someone would hear. Hoping someone would care. 12 civilizations had received this message. 12 had ignored it. I do not want to live in a world where we are number 13, said. One was quiet for a long time, then he nodded slowly. Make the call. Far away on a world called 4, elders sat in a room that used to be filled with beautiful plants. Now it was empty. The walls were bare. The air smelled like dust. She was old and weak. She had given most of her food to the young ones. That was the way of her people. The elders sacrificed so the children could live. But soon there would be nothing left to sacrifice. She had sent the message 30 days ago. 30 days of waiting. 30 days of watching the sky. 30 days of hopping. But no answer came. Behind her, a young named entered the room. He was thin like everyone else now. His large eyes were filled with sadness. Elder, he said softly, you should rest. I cannot rest, replied, not while there is still hope. Looked at the ground. The other elders say there is no hope. The 12 civilizations did not answer. The 13th does not even exist. The humans are just a legend. Smiled weakly. I have heard the stories too, a young species from a dangerous world. They are supposed to be strange, emotional, unpredictable. Do you believe they are real? Looked out the window at the dead landscape. Gray fields stretched to the horizon. Nothing grew, nothing moved. I believe in hope, she said. That is all I have left. Nodded and left her alone. Closed her eyes and whispered into the silence. Please, if you are out there, if you can hear me, please answer. In the darkness of space, her message traveled on, weak, desperate, dying. And on a small moon near Earth, a young woman named Park picked up her communicator and made the most important call in human history. The cry for help had been heard. Now the question was simple: would humanity answer? The United Earth Council chamber was filled with noise. Hundreds of voices spoke at once. Representatives from every nation on Earth had gathered in Geneva for this emergency meeting. Nothing like this had ever happened before. Counselor Min O sat at the center table, listening to the chaos around him. He was a calm man, known for his careful thinking. But today, even he felt overwhelmed. The message from the had been by 17 different scientific teams. It was real. Somewhere in the galaxy, an entire civilization was dying, and they had asked humanity for help. Admiral Dong stood at the front of the room, waiting for silence. He was a large man with a stern face and gray hair cut very short. He had commanded Earth's deep space fleet for 15 years. He had seen many things, but he had never seen anything like this. Finally, the room grew quiet. Let me be clear, the Admiral said. What we are discussing today is not simple. They are located in the system 42 light years from Earth. With our fastest ships, that journey will take 3 weeks. We do not know this species. We have never met them. We do not know if this message is genuine. A woman stood up from the scientific section. She had long black hair and bright, determined eyes. Her name was Doctor, and she was Earth's leading expert on alien life. Admiral, I have studied this message carefully, she said. They included detailed information about their biology, their planet, and their situation. They have nothing to gain by lying. They are dying. This is real. And if it is a trap, Admiral asked, what if another species created this message to lure human ships into an ambush? Doctor shook her head. The message shows genuine desperation. The linguistic patterns indicate extreme emotional stress. This is not a trick. These are people who have lost everything and are begging for help. The room erupted in noise again. Some agreed with the doctor. Others supported the Admiral. Everyone had an opinion. Counselor O raised his hand for silence. Slowly, the room became quiet. We have heard from the military, he said. We have heard from science, but this is not just a military or scientific question. This is a moral question. Let me ask all of you, who are we? He stood up and walked to the center of the room. For thousands of years, humans have faced this choice. Do we help those in need or do we protect ourselves? Do we risk danger for strangers, or do we stay safe behind our walls? Every generation has answered this question differently. Today, it is our turn. Admiral spoke again. Counselor, I am not saying we should ignore I am saying we should be careful. We have limited ships, limited resources. If we send a fleet to save this species, we leave Earth less protected. What if something happens while our ships are away? So we do nothing, Doctor asked. We let them die because we are afraid. I am not afraid, the Admiral replied firmly. I am responsible. There are 8 billion humans on Earth. Their safety is my duty. I cannot risk them for strangers. The argument continued for hours. Some representatives wanted to help immediately. Others wanted more time to study the situation. Some suggested sending only a small probe. Others said that was not enough. Counselor O listened to every voice. He understood both sides. The Admiral was right to be cautious. But the doctor was also right. How could humanity call itself good if it ignored the dying? Finally, a young delegate from a small country raised her hand. She was young, perhaps 25 years old. Her name was Bo Young, and she had only been on the council for 6 months. May I speak? She asked quietly. Counselor O nodded. Go ahead. Bo Young stood up slowly. She looked nervous, but her voice was steady. I have listened to everyone today. The Admiral speaks of risk. The doctor speaks of compassion. Both are important, but I want to ask a different question. She paused and looked around the room. Imagine that Earth was dying. Imagine that our crops had failed, our water was poisoned, and our children were starving. Imagine that we sent a message into space, begging for help. Imagine that we waited and waited, but no one came. How would we feel? The room was completely silent. We would feel alone, Bo Young continued. We would feel abandoned. We would wonder if anyone in the universe cared about us at all. And when we died, our last thought would be that we were not worth saving. She took a deep breath. They sent their message to 12 civilizations. 12 species heard their cry, and 12 species decided that they were not worth saving. We are number 13. We can choose to be like the others, or we can choose to be different. We can choose to be human. Counselor O felt something stir in his chest. He looked around the room and saw that others felt it too. Even Admiral's stern face had softened slightly. The question is not whether this is safe, Bo Young finished. The question is whether this is right, and I believe it is. She sat down. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then slowly, Counselor O nodded. I think we should vote. The voting took only minutes. The result was close but clear. Humanity would answer the cry. Admiral accepted the decision without argument. He was a soldier. He followed orders. But more than that, he understood what Bo Young had said. Protecting humanity meant protecting what humanity stood for, and humanity stood for helping those in need. I will begin preparations immediately, he said. We will need volunteers. This mission is dangerous. I will not order anyone to go. He expected perhaps a few hundred to step forward. Within 1 hour, over 50,000 people had volunteered. Scientists, doctors, engineers, soldiers, farmers, teachers, people from every nation, every background, every walk of life. They came forward and said the same thing. I want to help. Doctor was among the first. This is why I became a scientist, she said, to make a difference, to help life, not just study it. Admiral looked at the list of volunteers and felt something he had not felt in years. Pride. Select 200, he ordered. The best from every field. They leave in 48 hours. As the preparations began, Counselor O walked to the window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, a dying species was waiting. They had sent their hope into the darkness, expecting nothing. They did not know that help was coming. They did not know that humanity had heard. But soon, they would learn something that would change the galaxy forever. When someone cried for help, humans answered. The rescue ship Dawning Light moved through the darkness of space like a small star traveling between worlds. Inside, 200 humans worked, planned, and hoped. Captain Ben stood on the bridge, watching the endless black through the main window. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and a face that showed many years of hard decisions. At 53, she was one of the most experienced commanders in Earth's fleet. But this mission was different from any she had led before. Behind her, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. Navigation, communications, engineering, everyone focused on their tasks. Everyone knew what was at stake. Dr. No entered the bridge carrying a tablet filled with data. She was the ship's chief botanist, a small woman with round glasses and endless energy. For the past 2 weeks, she had barely slept. "Captain," she said, "I have been studying the blight that is killing the plants. The information they sent us is detailed but incomplete. I think I can develop a treatment, but I will need to see their plants in person." Captain nodded. "How confident are you?" Hesitated. 60%, maybe 70. The biology is very different from Earth life, but the basic principles should be similar. If I can understand what the blight attacks, I can find a way to stop it. 60% is better than nothing, the captain said. Keep working. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Wu Xin crawled through a narrow space between two large machines. Sparks flew around him. Sweat covered his face. The ship had encountered a spatial anomaly 2 days ago, a region of twisted space that had damaged several critical systems. The Dawning Light was still flying, but barely. "Come on," Wu muttered to himself, "just a little more." He connected 2 wires and held his breath. The machine hummed, lights flickered. Then slowly the engine's power returned to normal. Wu allowed himself a small smile. Another problem fixed, only 100 more to go. He crawled out of the narrow space and stretched his tired muscles. He had not slept in 30 hours. His body was exhausted, but every time he thought about resting, he remembered why they were here. Children were starving. Sleep could wait. Far away on the dying world of 4, Young walked through the empty streets of his city. The buildings were still beautiful, made of white stone that used to shine in the sunlight. But now they seemed dead, like everything else on this world. He carried a small container of food. It was his ration for the day, barely enough to stop the hunger but not enough to make it go away. Around him, others moved slowly through the streets. No one talked. No one had energy for words. They just walked, did their tasks, and tried not to think about the future. Stopped at a window and looked at his reflection. His body was thin. His skin was pale. His large eyes, which used to be bright with curiosity, now looked tired and sad. He was 17 years old. He should be learning, exploring, dreaming about the future. Instead, he was counting the days until he died. He continued walking toward the monitoring station. It was his job to watch the sky and listen for any response to their message. Every day, he sat at his equipment and searched for signals. Every day, he found nothing. Elder had asked him to keep trying. "Hope is all we have," she had said, wanted to believe her, but it was getting harder. He entered the station and sat at his equipment. The screens glowed softly, showing static from the stars. He adjusted the controls and began another day of listening. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Hours passed. Eyes grew heavy. His head began to drop. Then something happened. One of his screens flashed. A signal appeared, strong, clear, different from anything he had seen before. Sat up straight, his heart began to pound. He checked the signal again. It was real. It was coming from outside their system, and it was heading directly toward them. With shaking hands, he decoded the message. "This is the human vessel Dawning Light. We received your transmission. We are coming to help. Estimated arrival 42 hours. Do not lose hope. We heard you. We are coming." Stared at the screen. His eyes filled with tears. His hands trembled so badly he could barely hold the controls. He ran out of the station, screaming. They answered, someone answered, the humans are coming. On the dawning light, Captain felt a weight lift from her shoulders when she received confirmation that their message had been received. The new help was coming. She walked through the ship, checking on her crew. In the medical bay, young Medic Han was organizing supplies with careful precision. She was only 24 years old, but she had volunteered without hesitation. "Are we ready?" the captain asked. Looked up. "We have medicine for most situations, but I do not know if human medicine will work on biology. I will have to learn quickly." "I know you will." The captain continued walking. She passed scientists studying data, engineers fixing equipment, and soldiers preparing for any possible threat. Everyone was working. Everyone was focused. She stopped at a window and looked out at the stars. 20 years ago she had a family, a husband, a daughter. They had lived on a colony ship traveling to a distant world. One day their life support failed. The colony sent distress signals, begging for help. Help came, but it came too late. Her husband died in her arms. Her daughter died 2 hours later. She had never stopped wondering, what if help had come sooner? What if someone had moved faster? What if someone had cared more? She could not change the past, but she could change this. "Captain," the navigator called, "we are approaching the system." Returned to her chair. On the main screen, a distant star grew larger. Around it, several planets orbited slowly. One of them was dying. But not if she could help it. "All hands," she said into the ship's communication system. "This is the captain. We are about to make history. We are about to prove that humanity is more than just a species. We are a family, and when family calls for help, we answer. Prepare for arrival. Let us save some lives." In every part of the ship, humans looked up at the speakers and felt something powerful. Pride, purpose, hope. The dawning light entered the system. Help had arrived. Dead forests stretched across the land like gray bones. Rivers that once held water were now dry channels of dust. Fields that should have been green were empty and brown. This world had been beautiful once. Now it was a grave waiting to be filled. The shuttle landed near a large city. White buildings rose toward the sky, elegant and ancient. But there was no movement, no sound. The city seemed empty. Then slowly, figures began to appear. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. They moved carefully as if every step took great effort. Their bodies were weak from hunger. Their faces showed exhaustion and fear. But when they saw the human shuttle, something changed in their eyes. Hope. Captain was the first to step outside. Behind her came Doctor, Medic, and 20 other crew members carrying supplies. They gathered around them, not speaking, just staring. They had sent their cry into the darkness. They had expected nothing. And yet, here were strangers from another world, carrying food and medicine and promise. An old moved forward through the crowd. She was frail and thin, her blue skin almost gray. She walked with difficulty, but her eyes were sharp and determined. "Elder." She stopped in front of Captain and looked up at the human. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then's voice came, weak but clear. "You came. We did not believe anyone would come." Knelt down so she was at the same level as the elder. "We heard your message. We could not ignore it. 12 civilizations heard us before you. 12 said nothing. We are not them." His large eyes filled with tears. She tried to speak, but her body swayed. She had not eaten properly in days. She had given her food to the children. Reached into her pocket and pulled out a meal bar. Simple human food, nothing special, but to a starving person it was everything. "Please," said, offering it, "eat." Looked at the food, she looked at. Then slowly she took it with trembling hands. Around them, humans began distributing supplies. Food packets, water purifiers, medical equipment. The received everything with disbelief and gratitude. Young pushed through the crowd until he found. He stood before her, his thin body shaking with emotion. "I was the one who received your message," he said. "I had stopped believing, I thought we were alone, but you came." Put a hand on his shoulder. "You were never alone, you just had not found us yet." In a nearby building, doctors set up a temporary laboratory. Scientists brought her samples of the blight that was destroying their world. She worked quickly, examining the disease under her equipment. What she found made her angry. "This is not natural," she said to the scientist beside her. "Look at this structure. This was engineered. Someone created this blight specifically to kill your plants." The scientist, an old male named, nodded sadly. "We suspected this, but we could not prove it." "Who would do this?" Hesitated, then he spoke quietly. They are a powerful species in this region of space. They wanted our world. Our location is valuable for trade routes, but we refuse to leave. We are a peaceful people. We do not make war, so they made this disease and released it on our planet. Felt fury rise in her chest. This was not a natural disaster. This was an attack, a genocide by biology. "The 12 civilizations who ignored your message," she said. "Did they know about the—" "Everyone knows about the. Everyone fears them. That is why no one answered us. They did not want to make enemies." Looked at the disease sample on her screen. It was complex and deadly, but it was not perfect. "I can stop this," she said. "It will take time, but I can create a treatment. We can save your plants." Stared at her. "You would do this, even knowing even knowing they might come." Smiled grimly. "They are not the only ones who can be dangerous." In the medical area, Han worked without rest. Patients lay on beds all around her. Most were children, their small bodies weakened by hunger. She had learned quickly that human medicine worked on, but the doses had to be adjusted. Too much could harm them. Too little would not help. Every patient was a careful balance. A small child looked up at her with huge dark eyes. The child was perhaps 5 years old, thin and frightened. "Will I be okay?" the child asked. Smiled gently. "Yes, you will be okay, I promise." She injected medicine into the child's arm. Within minutes, color began to return to the little one's face. The child smiled. It was the first smile had seen on this world. She moved to the next patient, then the next. Hours passed. Her body grew tired, but she did not stop. Outside, walked with Captain through the city. He showed her what his world had been like before the blight. The gardens that used to fill the streets. The fruits that used to grow on every corner. The festivals where his people would celebrate life and growth. "We were happy," he said. "We hurt no one. We only wanted to live in peace, but they did not care." Listened carefully. Her jaw tightened with anger. "Why did you not fight back?" she asked. Looked at her with confusion. "Fight? We do not fight. We are not warriors. We are farmers and artists and teachers. Fighting is not our way." "Sometimes fighting is necessary." "Perhaps, but we do not know how." Stopped walking. She looked at the young for a long moment. "Then perhaps we can teach you." Before could respond, an alarm rang from the dawning light. Grabbed her communicator. "Report," she ordered. The voice of her navigator came through, tense and worried. "Captain, long-range sensors have detected ships entering the system. 5 vessels. They are not responding to our signals." Felt her stomach tighten. Identification. "The design matches warships, Captain. They will be here in 6 hours." Around her heard the news. Fear spread through them like a cold wind. The hunters had arrived. Looked at, then at the dying city, then at the sky where enemies approached. She had brought these people hope. She would not let that hope die. "Return to the ship," she ordered through her communicator. "All hands, battle stations." She turned to, "Stay with your people, keep them calm, we will handle this." Grabbed her arm. You cannot fight 5 ships, you only have one. Smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a woman who had lost everything once and refused to lose again. We are human, she said. One is enough. She ran toward her shuttle, ready to face whatever came. The dawning light floated alone between the fleet and the dying world below. 5 warships against 1 rescue vessel. The numbers were not in humanity's favor. Captain Bin sat in her command chair, watching the enemy ships grow larger on her screen. They were massive, dark, and covered with weapons, built for war, built for destruction. Her ship was built for saving lives. Captain, her communications officer said, "They are sending a message." "Let us hear it." The screen changed to show a commander. He was large and muscular, with dark red skin and 4 eyes that gleamed with cruelty. When he spoke, his voice was cold. "Human vessel, you are interfering with business. They are condemned. Their world belongs to us now. Leave this system or you will be destroyed." Stood up slowly. She straightened her uniform and looked directly at the screen. "I am Captain Bin of the human vessel Dawning Light. They asked for help. We answered. We will not leave." The commander laughed. It was an ugly sound. "You have 1 ship, we have 5. Your courage is amusing but foolish. They are not worth dying for. They have nothing to offer you." "You are wrong," replied. "They offered us a chance to be good. That is worth everything." The commander's laughter stopped. His 4 eyes narrowed with confusion and anger. "Explain this to me, human. Why do you risk your lives for strangers? They cannot pay you, they cannot fight for you, they are weak, worthless. Why do you care?" Took a deep breath. On the surface below, we're looking up at the sky, watching this moment unfold. Children were holding their parents. Elders were praying. Was standing beside elder, fear and hope fighting in his heart. "Because that is who we are," said. "We help those who cannot help themselves. We stand for those who cannot stand alone. You attack the weak because you think it makes you strong. But true strength is protecting the weak, not destroying them." She stepped closer to the screen. "We heard a cry in the darkness. We answered. That is what humans do. And we will not stop, not for you, not for anyone." The commander stared at her. For a moment he seemed uncertain. Then his expression hardened. "Foolish words, prepare to die." The communication ended. On the tactical display, the 5 ships moved into attack formation. Turned to her crew. They were afraid. She could see it in their eyes, but they did not run. They did not ask to surrender. They stood at their stations, ready to fight. "All hands," she said. "This is not how I planned this mission to end. But I want you to know something. Whatever happens next, I am proud of you, every single one of you. We came here to save lives. We may lose our own, but we will die knowing we did the right thing." She sat back in her chair. "Weapons ready, shields at maximum. Let us show them what humans can do." The first ship fired. The dawning light shook as energy blasts hit its shields. Alarms rang through the ship. Damage reports flooded the bridge. But did not panic. She commanded her ship with calm precision, dodging when possible, returning fire when she could. Her crew followed her orders without hesitation. They knew they would probably die, but they fought anyway. Then suddenly, the tactical display changed. New signals appeared at the edge of the system, many signals coming fast. "Captain," the navigator said, his voice breaking with emotion. "Ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel, 12 of them, they are ours." Admiral Dong's voice came through the communication system, strong and clear. "This is Admiral of the Earth Third Fleet. All vessels, stand down immediately. The system is now under humanity's protection. Any aggressive action will be answered with overwhelming force." On the screen, 12 human warships appeared, surrounding the fleet. They were larger, better armed, and ready for battle. The commander's face appeared on screen again. His expression had changed from arrogance to shock. "This is impossible," he said. "You cannot be here. You do not even know this region of space." Admiral's face appeared besides. "We know enough. We know that you attacked innocent people. We know that you created a disease to kill their world. And we know that you thought no one would stop you. You were wrong." The commander looked at the human fleet surrounding him. His 4 eyes moved from ship to ship, calculating his chances. He had none. "This is not over," he growled. "They will remember this insult." "Remember it well," replied, "and remember what happens when you threaten those under our protection." The ships turned and moved away. Within minutes they had left the system. On the bridge of the dawning light the crew was silent. Then slowly someone began to cheer. Others joined. Soon the entire ship was celebrating. Sat quietly in her chair, tears running down her face. She had come here expecting to die. Instead, she had lived to see justice. On the surface of 4, they watched the fleet disappear. They watched the human ships take position around their world. They watched and could not believe what they were seeing. Fell to his knees. "They protected us. They actually protected us." Elder stood beside him, her weak body somehow finding strength. "They did more than protect us. They gave us hope. They gave us a future." Over the following weeks, Doctor's treatment began to work. Green appeared in the gray fields. Plants began to grow. Life returned to 4. Humanity established a permanent station to help the rebuild. Scientists worked alongside farmers. Engineers helped repair damaged buildings. Teachers shared knowledge. Doctors healed the sick. And they learned that they were not alone anymore. Elder gathered her people in the largest square of the city. Humans stood among them, welcomed as friends, as family. "We sent our cry into the darkness," said, her voice finally strong again. "We expected nothing. We received everything. The humans came when no one else would. They fought for us when no one else cared. They showed us that the universe is not as cold and empty as we feared." She turned to Captain, who stood nearby. "You asked nothing from us. You gained nothing by helping us. Yet you came anyway. Why?" Smiled. "Because you asked. That is all the reason we need." Nodded slowly. Then she spoke words that would echo across the galaxy for generations. "We will never forget what you did for us. And we will tell everyone, every species, every world. We will tell them about the humans, about the people who answer when others cry for help, about the people who protect the weak and stand against the cruel. We will tell them that the darkness is not empty, that someone is listening, that when you send your hope into the void, humanity will answer." Looked up at the sky, where human ships patrolled silently, guarding his world. "They answered," he whispered. And somewhere in the galaxy other species heard the story. A young species from a dangerous world, strange, emotional, unpredictable. And when someone needed help, they came. They always came. Because that is who humans are.